Over the past year, I've juggled a lot of different projects as a multimedia artist. I'm a musician, videographer, writer, so on, so on, so on, so on. My name's Nicholas Lindell, and I wanted to talk about the lessons that I've learned in the past year. I've worked on 14 different projects in the past 11 months, varying from gallery performances to producing my own multimedia art gallery, working on a video game, releasing an album, working as an acoustician for a recording studio. It's all over the place. So I've learned a bunch of stuff from this year, or relearned a bunch of stuff from this year as well. Some lessons that I probably should have kept in my mind. Oh well, we all make mistakes. Anyways, I want to share the 9 different lessons that I thought were most important that I've learned from my different projects this year. Maybe they'll help you out, maybe not. I don't know. It's all anecdotal, you know? So let's just go ahead and get straight into lesson number 1. So lesson number 1 is to be reasonable with your scheduling. It's very easy, especially as a new artist, to just say yes to everything. And you should be saying yes as much as you can. But remember, there's a point, right? If you start saying yes to too many things, you're going to start getting too busy. The quality of your work is really going to drop down. You're either going to be sacrificing the quality, you're going to be sacrificing the quality of your life, of your art, it all boils down to don't overschedule yourself. I really felt this a lot when I was producing my own art gallery for the album that I released, Dead World Theory. It was in collaboration with a bunch of different artists. We had a live show. It was awesome. However, I kept saying yes to other projects during that time, and I don't think I slept more than 5-6 hours for probably the better part of 2 months. That's the one thing that I regret from the whole situation is just overscheduling. If you overschedule, you're going to end up burning yourself out, and that's even worse than just saying no to 1 or 2 projects. Because if you burn yourself out, you gotta step away, you gotta take the time, and you gotta redo and reassess everything. Ends up taking away more time from your art than just saying no to 1 project. So don't be afraid to say no. Say yes to everything you can. But if you can't, don't say yes. Plain and simple. Next one. Lesson 2. Vet everybody that you work with, especially if you take your art very seriously. This one is such a hard lesson for me to learn. I am the type of person that wants to see people I know or my friends succeed. I'm always willing to give chances to people. I was a person who someone took a chance on me, and thankfully to them taking that chance on me, I was able to get my foot into the industry with film scoring and stuff. I was nobody at the time, hardly had any work, barely had made my first collection of piano music, an album, and this person was like, hey, come to my concert, come play some music. It was like a house show. I came and played the music, it was awesome, and he was like, hey, work for me. Hey, and then it just kept leading to one thing after another, and that's eventually how I started getting my first professional gigs with scoring and working in that type of field. They took a chance on me. The thing that I forget though is that I proved myself to that person. I worked hard and I kept showing up with results. Whenever you're going to work with somebody, make sure that that person is going to be able to fulfill whatever position you need it. It may be a session musician, it may be a collaborator on an art project, it may be a framer, who knows? But always go through their past work history. And if they don't have past work history, maybe do an audition, maybe, who knows? Figure something out. I can't give you the answer on that one. But you need to make sure that they can do what they say they can do within the deadline as well. Because ultimately, if you're working with a collaborator or you're hiring somebody, they're working on your project, which means that they're never going to be as passionate, or usually, shouldn't say never, but they're usually not going to be as passionate about your project as you are passionate about it. So don't expect a miracle or that this project's going to be the one where they step up. Likelihood of that happening is very slim. So just make sure you vet everybody. Check their work history. If they don't have work history, get recommendations, maybe do an audition, maybe do a work sample, something, especially if you're paying them. This one is a cliche. Lesson number 3 is that good old quote, build it and they will come. It sounds so stupid. It seems so stupid, but it's true. Don't wait to get all the resources that you need for a project. As a multimedia artist, sometimes our projects are really expensive, or we need a lot of different expertise. You know, you may need a videographer, you may need a DP, you may need a bunch of lighting equipment, you may need this, materials, whatever. Don't wait to make the thing until you have those. Just make it with whatever you have available and move on. Don't wait for the grant. Don't wait for the private funding. Don't wait for the in-kind donation. Just make it. I really experienced this a lot with the Dead World Theory. I was like kind of shopping this idea around, working on this idea, nothing. Proposing for grants, proposing for funding, business funding, nothing. So I said, screw it. I'm going to make the screenplay. I'm going to make the soundtrack anyways. We'll see what happens. I did that. And then that led to meetings with producers and with other artists and executives and such like that they were like, oh, this is cool. You've already done all this work. You've proven yourself, back to the original lesson, that everybody, I proved to these people that I was good for the work. And they're like, here's the phone number. Here's the personal email. And I started getting these connections because I proved that I could build it without the resources. So why not give me the resources? It makes sense. If you have a project and you don't have the resources for it, scale it down until you can make it with the resources that you do have, and just make that. After you make it, you may not even want to make the bigger version. If you still do, that's much easier to get funding and cosigns and buy-in from people when you already have a WIP, like a work in progress, or like a scaled down version of it. If you're making a film, do an animatronics. Instead of hiring this entire team, hire a storyboarder, or story block the entire thing, doing shot blocking, where you and a friend are doing all the acting, and it's just shot blocking and all the camera angles and the location hunting, all of that. Just do it yourself. Put your camera on a tripod, put the push in the pan in post, move on. That simple. Next one, lesson number 4. I don't know why I did the numbers after I said it. Let's move on. Don't only be about yourself. Remember everybody else. The art community is really small, no matter where you're at. Think local. Work with the people in your city or your town or your Discord or whatever forum. Remember to work with people. That simple. A lot of people talk about networking. Oh, you got to get these phone numbers. You got to get these emails. You got to get these contacts. That means nothing unless those people want to work with you. You know what's a good way to make people want to work with you? Work with them. You want somebody to work on your project? Volunteer for their project. Hey, I want this artist to do an animation for me. Okay. Why not hit them up and say, I like your animation, love to work together. Can I make a score for you? Or can I do this for you? Can I do that for you? They say yes, perfect. You do it, who knows? Maybe they'll be interested in working with you on your project. Maybe not, and that's okay. Because even if they don't want to work with you in the future or whatever, they don't want to do that project, that's still building your skills, still building your community. Make a good impression on them. They're going to think, oh, they asked me to do this animation. I don't want to do this animation, but I have a friend who would love to do this. I'm going to reach out to them because I already know this person is good. They're fun to work with. They're enjoyable to be around. I'm okay with, reaching out to my network. That's networking. Not just like, hey, let's follow each other on Instagram, talk one time, and then I'm going to hit you up for free work. That's not networking. Work with people. It's not all about you. Go work on other people's projects. You'll like it. And also, if you start getting super crazy busy where you're just like working on all of your own projects, it's kind of nice to go work on somebody else's project where you're not the main person. It could be a lot less stressful. It could be enjoyable. It could be fun. It could be cool art. You know, think about the three-legged stool, right? Good hang, good pay, good art. Pick two. If a job has two of those, take it. Next, lesson number 5. Don't undervalue your skill set. As a multimedia artist, I wear a lot of different hats. An engineer, producer, pianist, artist, videographer, animator, all these different things, right? Use those skills to help you build your career. And this kind of also wraps back to the previous lesson of working with other people. Go freelance. Go do something with your set of skills. You probably have more skills than you realize if you're an artist, especially if you're a multimedia artist. I worked as an acoustician this year because I learned how to do acoustic design and like studio design in my degree. I've done it a couple of times for like friends and for myself. And then I got a gig doing it one time a couple of years ago. And then this year I was like, hey, I'm going to do this again. Because I knew about the studio that was opening up, wanted to work with them, hit them up, loved it. Did the work, they loved the work. It was great. What you may think is like not a big deal skill, somebody else may think that that's extraordinary. Especially as a musician, if you're working as a producer, you're doing all of your mixing and mastering, there are plenty of musicians out there who you may have the most simple mixing process ever, but you may talk to a musician who knows nothing about mixing, and they could say, whoa, this is really cool. I had no idea. I want to hire you. Lean into your skill set. Also makes you better as an artist in your own right. Same thing as last lesson. Keep working with other people, even if it's not your main medium. It makes everything else better. Cross-pollination. Be a jack of all trades, not a master of one. Lesson 6. This kind of wraps back to lesson number 1. Resting isn't being lazy. There's a line. That line, you're probably not crossing it. Artists, we're sick. There's something up with us where we just got to keep creating stuff. I don't know. It's weird, and most artists that I know are perfectionists or overachievers. It's just, I don't know. Personality, it's a self-confirmation bias. I don't know. Resting is okay. You need to take breaks. That's not being lazy. That's not pushing something off. Don't push stuff off if you just want to like sit around and play video games forever and you keep saying no to jobs. Yeah, that's being lazy. But you just finished this giant project and you want to take the weekend off and close your computer or, go play video games, go hang out with friends, do whatever. You need to do it. Go experience life. It's not all about creating. To even create stuff, we have to be taking stuff in. Go live life, rest. You are not purely your output. I still have such a struggle with this. I have such a struggle with this lesson. I've learned this lesson a million times. Oh, it's hard. Thank you, capitalism in art. Anyways, that's another topic for another video. Lesson number 7, if you have a fun idea, just do it. This is kind of like the build it, they will come, but in a less serious light, You have this crazy off-the-wall thing where you're like, I've never done something like this before. I don't know if I can do it. Just do it. Just do it. It's fine. It ends up sucking. Oh well, that's not your main form of art. Throw it in your closet. You end up liking it. Cool. You just figured out something else that you like doing. The animated music video that I made this year was completely that. I had this idea of like, hey, this would be really cool. I don't quite know if I can handle this. I don't know if I could do this. I watched a few YouTube videos. I'm like, okay, this is close enough to film editing that I could probably get away with this. Like I could try it. And so I started working on it. And it just became like this fun little passion project where I kept building it, just spending like 30 minutes, an hour here and there on the weekends or like after work while I was doing all these other projects. And then I was like, oh, I just made an animated music video. Cool. And I'm going to be releasing that soon. Stay posted on that. But it was just a silly idea where I was like, hey, this could be a fun little thing I should try to do. I don't know if I can do it. Let's see. And I made it. Go do it. Lesson number 8. Boom, boom. I'm running out of fingers because I got the mic hand. Lesson number 8, a no isn't forever. What does that mean? When you reach out to somebody to collaborate or to work together, whatever, they might say no. They might ignore you. Who knows? Don't take it personal and move on. Go do some other stuff. And in 6 months, 3 months, a year, whatever, that person pops back up in your mind and you still want to work with them, hit them up one more time. Maybe hit them up a third time. That's fine. Don't bother them. Don't just constantly be like running into their DMs every single day. Don't do that. But every once in a while you hit them up and say, hey, I saw your post or I listened to your song. I thought it was really cool. I'd love to work together. That's fine. I don't know anybody who's going to get upset about an occasional reach out like that. I wouldn't get upset. I don't know people who've gotten upset. And I've also been in the other situation where I've gotten a no. I was like, okay, that's a bummer, whatever. Moved on, went and worked on other stuff. A few months later, that person popped back up, and I was like, oh man, yeah, this is really cool. Love to work with them again. Hit them up, and they're like, yeah, would love to do that. Sometimes people are just busy. Sometimes it's just not the right time or the right project. Don't take it personally. Don't hold a grudge. Move on. I've also been in situations where I hit somebody up, I got a no, moved on, and then they hit me up later on because they saw something that I was doing. It happens. And this also, all these lessons are kind of interconnected, as you can tell. This kind of loops back to the just go do work with other people. Someone's going to see it and be like, oh, that's really cool. You're going to check their email. Oh, wait, that person emailed me before. I should hit them back. They respond to you 9 months later. It happens. That's fine. Don't let it get you down. Lesson number 9. This would be boom with the mic hand. Boom with the mic hand. This one is a lesson that I struggle with every single day. I have not gotten over this hump with this lesson. This video is kind of me addressing this problem that I'm still having in my art career, and that's talking about your work. For a very long time, I never wanted to really talk about my work. I figured if someone liked it or if it was good, it would just talk on its own. I don't need to talk about it. I don't need to share it, whatever. I'll put it out there, the traction or algorithm, it'll work out. Wrong. That does not happen. Talk about your work. Let's think about some of the best artists in the world or in history. They talked about their work. 50 Cent, famously selling CDs out of his trunk. Oh, I just hit the microphone. Ooh, that was probably a bad peek. Oh, God, sorry, guys. I'll cut that out. 50 Cent, or really this goes for any rapper in the 80s or 90s, not even rappers, any musician, right? They're handing out demo tapes. They're passing out cassettes, CDs, out of their trunk. Here's $1. Who was the person who sold it for $1? J. Cole always sold his CDs for $1 because if they were free, no one would listen to them. If they were $1, somebody might listen to them. That's practically the cost of just printing the CD with the sleeve and everything. Just talk about your work. Show it to people. Mention it. Talk about it on the internet. Make a stupid video about the 9 different lessons you've learned in the year. Anything you can do. Because you're not the main character. Everyone's got busy lives. And no one's going to know what you've been up to unless you're telling them what you've been up to. If you post on Instagram, how many times have you posted on Instagram and you mention it to somebody and they're like, oh, I didn't even see that post. They might not be lying. They might be lying and they just don't want to hurt your feelings. But they're probably not lying. And social media is weird, especially if you're only relying on social media to talk about your work. Have fun. I haven't quite figured that out yet. It's obviously doable, but go to artist meetups, go to galleries, go to open mic nights. Even if you're not going to perform or hang something up, you can still talk to people. Don't make the conversation all about yourself. Be a genuine person, make genuine connections. And when someone asks, what are you working on this year? Or what have you been up to? Tell them. That's okay. That's not shilling. That's not being fake. That's just being genuine and talking about what you're working on as an artist. I've lost gigs where I thought I had 100% in because of working relationships I had with this person. It was for artist residency. I was connected to these other people. I thought like, I would be super easy to just ask this person and say, hey, can I get in on this artist residency, to the producer. What she said to me was, I don't even know what you do. And that hurt because of a lot of different reasons. But it after the ego, I realized that, yeah, she doesn't know what I've done. I was, working with her colleagues and stuff like that on projects as an assistant or as an engineer. She had never seen my art. I never played my music for her. I never played the piano for her or showed her any of my writings. I was just an assistant in her mind. Show off your work. Be proud of it. Make something that you're proud of. Be proud of it. Talk about it. End of story. That's it. That's all of the lessons. That's 9 different lessons. I've learned most of these lessons multiple times. I'm still learning them. Sometimes you gotta really just like hammer it in through the thick skull. I'm improving. We're all improving. Keep up at it. And hopefully this helped. I don't know. Tell me if it did help, or if this is stupid. Probably keep that to yourself. But if you have constructive criticism, leave it. Shoot me an email, post a comment, whatever. If you really like this and you want to go check out my work, there's all my social medias. You can go check it out. If you want to support my work, I have a Patreon with a whole bunch of extra stuff on there. Some unreleased music, blog posts, essays, all the stuff, general artist Patreon things. Check that out. If you want a freer version of supporting me, think about joining my newsletter. That's where all the best information goes. That's how you can really like keep up to date with what I'm working on or new releases, stuff like that. Didn't really think of a great outro. Bye.